Good morning, friends. Today, I welcome all the professors, teachers, research scholars, and student friends in the Epitome Lecture Series ELS organized by Dr. Pramod Ambadasrao Pawar. It is a prestigious and renowned lecture series hosted by Dr. Pawar. I am really glad to speak on this platform. Today's topic of the lecture is Trans-Deconstruction Theory on Monism. My talk is of course a critique on the book written by Dr. Pramod Ambadasrao Pawar entitled as Trans-Deconstruction Theory on Monism. Friends, it's a great pleasure to tell you is a renowned contribution to the critical theory given by Dr. Pramod Pawar. It is published by NAA Publishers, Cameroon. The book is also celebrated in the deconstruction, post-structuralism and trans-deconstruction and its arena. As we know, language is a system of signs. Hence, it is sometimes also called as the science of signs. Each language has its signs, and these signs signify us the signified ones. As language gives us meaning, meaning begets meanings, and meanings demand more interpretations. Trans-deconstruction is a theory about the centered, stable, singular, meaning-oriented reading practice beyond the theories of interpretation and analysis of the text. When we think about this theory, we find that it encompasses word, text, and meanings. As we know, a text is like a pendulum. Its center is like a text, often fixed, but it is functional. Trans-deconstruction believes in the existence of only one supreme being. It believes in the singularity of or the oneness. It is a rational cum spiritual theory on monism based on oneness of all the signs and beings in this universe. It denies the existence of duality of meanings in the text. For instance, God and world, presence and absence, darkness and light. Trans-deconstruction theory on monism thinks that the notion of stability, singularity, fixed center, transcendental signified, absolute meaning and truth. Trans-deconstruction posits the re-emergence of monism. Language is a system of science. However, the science demand interpretations. Trans-deconstruction focuses on singularity of meaning rather than plurality of meanings. The singular meaning is like Newton's gravitational force. This dichotomy between the center and the margin is a symbolic manifestation of uniformity, singularity, and uniqueness. It is a process of coding decoded words and decoding coded words. Text is full of ambiguities, paradoxes, and unconscious by nature. The theory also posits that the reader is alive, and it tells us about the reader who unconsciously trans-deconstructs the text within and without. Dr. Pawar has talked beautifully on trans-deconstruction theory and a theory on monism in this critical book. The book is almost celebrated in the entire arena of criticism. It gives us the varied religious inclinations, different opinions about the existence of individuals, God and nature. Trans-deconstruction celebrates a text like a pendulum. There exists only one single thing, the universe, which is arbitrarily divided into many things. A multiplicity of existing things can be interpreted in terms of a single reality. The book that brings out the notion of stability, singularity, fixed state, transcendental signified, absolute meaning and truth reduces all stereotyped phenomena of interpretative work of the critic, multiplicity and the non-centered text. The book, however, gives an overview as regards trans-deconstruction, transcendentalism, word and the world, text within and without, reading for the meaning, only one signified for all the discourses. Definitely, text is the body, the center is the mind, and the textual superconsciousness is the soul, the truth or singularity of all the discourses in human sciences, says Dr. Pawar at the outset of the book. In a critical sense, there should be an amalgamation of the center and the center to reach the transcendental signified. The reader is a human being and the entire multiple or plural circulatory meanings are illusions prior to the spiritual communion with the absolute truth. Of course, the book also points out the language beyond linguistic structure. Language needs structure and structure needs to be trans-deconstructed. Word, text and a meaning or meanings have been the essence of literary theory and practice. All that is moving is stable and all that is stable is moving. By and large, all the discourses uniquely merge into one meaning. The singular meaning is like Newton's gravitational force within the earth that takes back the stone thrown high in the sky, or the apple falls down instead of going up. All this is nothing but the gravitational magnetic force in the earth. In this story, Newton just thinks over the whole process of falling apple on the ground with a conclusion what trans-deconstruction makes us to do so. The dichotomy between the center and the margin is also symbolic, that is manifested here, and it is meant for uniformity, singularity and uniqueness. Deconstruction begets trans-deconstruction when a reader is haunted by his endless search for one meaning in the crowd of the multiplicity of meanings. The binary oppositions like presence and absence, light and darkness, day and night, good versus worse, hen and eggs and seed, tree, and good black versus white, to the absolute, the truth where no entity is privileged over another. There is a language of intuitive perception beyond the language of senses, which can be termed as a trans language. Even in structuralism, we find a product of linguistics which disciplines a scientific study of language. In this context, knowledge is bifurcated as objective knowledge and subjective knowledge. The text thus needs to be trans-deconstructed to reach the signified. Post-structuralism also shows its production of philosophy where the ceaseless chain of interpretations that demand further science of interpretations. However, no interpretation dares to claim for a stable, static, and finalized meaning of the discourses. Thus, a study of trans-deconstruction is essential to prove the unspoken and recurrent facts in the universe. The ultimate aim of all human discourses is to know the unknown. The world is full of certainties, uncertainties, ambiguities, irrationalities, wherein no human discourse seems to be destined to deeper understanding of absolutism and existentialism. Dr. Pawar also has talked in his book on the crux of the matter to know the reality within and without as regards trans-deconstruction. Signs are only symbols embedded with meanings. Language is, of course, made of the signs. These signs are basically images with a general sense of objects. And the objects are the verbal images in its perception. When one can find the free flow of these images in the text and outside the text, at that time he understands trans-deconstruction in its whole. To enrich the reality, the center of a text is slippery, but it is found nowhere. Every time the meaning is either being postponed or stabilized. One can give so many examples as regards trans-deconstruction. For example, there is a chemical bond of H2O, which means water. It also means there are two molecules of hydrogen and one molecule of oxygen, and then there is the formation of water. In this context, one can state that the two molecules of hydrogen are unified into one and oxygen gets merged into hydrogen. Finally, there is the formation of H2O with a chemical reaction, that is water. In chemistry, there are many different bonds. They are nothing but the emergence of divergence of bond strengthened from a single point of energy. This single point of energy definitely demonstrates the bond of trans-deconstruction. The textbook is made up of signs which have a systematic grammatical structure with a complete sense of meanings. This linguistic concept leads to the uniformity of structure within the text, generating multiplicity of the meanings. The interaction of the meanings generated by words within cannot be guaranteed unless it reaches unto a certain point where the complete meaning is preserved. Even the meaning also becomes non-referential and non-contextual. The relativity is a great hindrance in the interpretation of the text. No knowledge is relative unless it is thoroughly received. Up to some extent, the meaning is a product of difference relative in the context from person to person. Post-structuralism is the most basic way of understanding the true essence of the text despite all multiplicity of meanings. The meaning is an inherent portion of the text which is often ultimate and stable after long debated discourses in the human sciences. Even all the discourses finally rest in a motionless way in this context where the reason is questioned and the intellectual ability of critics is dishonored and distrusted. Thus, text is a product of human understanding and experience. There is a clear-cut deeper understanding of the essence of things by every individual. Hence, the text is endless based on the meanings generated in the context. The text is free from all the restraints and external forces of the pressurization. When a critic posits that the death of the author means the birth of the reader, the text is an artifact, the meaning is nothing but futile in nature due to its dependence and interestedness. Even there is interrelatedness found in the text. It is neither of the authors nor the readers. No text can be that of the author, nor that it is of the reader. One can reach the reconstruction of the meaning emerge from the text. This is what trans-deconstruction posits. In the reading, the death of the author signifies the author is no more in the text, and if he or she has been there, the text would have been contextual. Text is often plural, and it implies multiple in meanings or multiplicity in meanings. There is of course a free play of meanings. Such endless free play of meanings demonstrates the textual vulnerability to reach the signified. Although deconstruction is not at all about the abandonment of all the restraints, it is in fact the disciplined identification of the sources of textual power. It is concerned about decentering of the intellectual universe. The center in a text is like the presence of God in the body. God symbolizes generation, operation, and destruction of the entire universe. To know the center in the text is like the spiritual union of the conscious and unconscious mind of a man merging finally into the superconsciousness state of absolutism. This is what is studied in trans-deconstruction. It thus means that there is a spiritual union of the mind, the body, and the soul with the superconsciousness. In this context, I simply mean what Dr. Pawar also simply means that the text has a center, a fixed point from which all these shades of meanings are generated. Despite the clarification, there are some examples which are hardly taken into consideration. For example, the linguistic analysis, textual interpretations search for the center in the text persistently. Such considerations are valid, authentic, trans-deconstructive in nature. The theory of trans-deconstruction relates to the notion of textual superconsciousness enrained with meanings where the text is in its subconscious state aspiring for its textual union with the center. The critic raises the textual superconsciousness in order to fathom absolutism, the truth of all the discourses. The multiplicity of meaning is something like the different shades of the colors perceived in a rainbow. It looks like beautiful from a specific distance, though it remains uniformed. The center of the text has not yet been erased from the trans-deconstructive point of view. Trans-deconstruction can only be pursued by visualizing a picture of the seed grown up in multiple fruits. The presence of the author simply does matter in the interpretation of the text to know much more about textual superconsciousness embedded into the text. The text means images that can be ignored. The question that the language needs supplements, replacement as an additional assistance for the completion of the meaning remains unanswerable. The reality in parts never forms the complete truth. Language and reality stand poles apart in the interpretation of the text. Thus, language is not the means to know the reality in the text, but reality does exist in the text. It is relative and partially known to the text, but not as a whole. The partial implication of the language is to detect the reality in the text, and it is highly debatable. On the other hand, the text needs to know its own digestive system to know the signified and the center. Trans-deconstruction studies a literary product of the author, and the text demands critical readings and stable interpretations till the finalized meaning is attained. Reading does not mean understanding or what the writer said in the text. It never means what language the writer has used in the text. It doesn't also mean how the writer presents his ideology through the text, but reading is deeper expressed his experiences. Reading is something that the writer has expressed deeply as regards his experiences through the text. In fact, reading is a deeper understanding of the content through the context and references. Reading is between the lines that can be transparent for every reader. It leads us beyond the existed words on the page. It is not simply a reproduction of the ideas that has already been thought and expressed throughout the text. In fact, reading is the amalgamation of the recollected memories of the text. The text is critically read and represented for analysis. The integration of ideas demands for the further interpretations to reach the signified. Dr. Pawar, at the end of the first chapter, has talked about the discourses, all the discourses. The text after construction manifests its ubiquitous revelation of the unconscious portion of the text. The critic also distinguishes the syntactic and semantic structure to reach the signified. The finality of all the discourses is mostly involved in the interpretation of the text. It is not the rebuilding of ideas already existed for the text or reinterpretation or reanalysis of the text. And the reader is behind the text as the textual superconsciousness has yet to be experienced by him. The center has already been placed in the text. However, the center has yet to be made as a single, unified, stable and singular entity. The justification of the text also matters in this regard. Trans-deconstruction is a further critical reading for meeting the textual superconsciousness and silently rests in the text. There is the internal contradiction underneath the text. It also studies the inconsistencies that disturb the coherence in the text. The singular presence of the seed in the text is also important to beget sweet fruits of absolutism. The absolute, which is basically beyond the reach of human comprehensibility, is studied in trans-deconstruction. Trans-deconstruction gives priority to the study of linguistically structured text, which is faithful to itself even if deals with awful paradoxes, contradictions rooted in the text. On the contrary, trans-deconstructionists also think that the text celebrates uniformity in diversity. The center of the text is enigmatical and illusionary to the common readers. To look for a perfect balance in the text is a great injustice to the text. The reason is that every text is balanced on the axis of its own center. The viewpoints expressed about the text are mostly governed by tense, time, person and attitude. Trans-deconstructionist studies the dichotomy in the text within and without. The author's views about the text are untraceably subconscious to the critic of the text. The theory of trans-deconstruction thus urges the critic to critically know the point of view of the author outside the text. Dr. Pawar also has pointed out about the readers peeping into the different points of view expressed through discourses. The study of culture, history and its bionote are necessary to listen to the inner and outer voices of the text. It also studies, trans-deconstruction also studies the inner and outer perception of the reality portrayed in the text. All the reality is not linguistically attained into the text, but still the text is full of binary oppositions such as male-female, day-night, presence-absence and so on. Female is much more important than male. Night is privileged over the day and darkness is prioritized to light. This natural alternation on the reverse study of the established norms is shown as one and the same in the trans-deconstruction study of the text. Dr. Pawar, in his Second part, second chapter of the book talks about what does literature apply. Any theory gives us sense by inculcating the practice of reading into the mind of the reader. The essence of the text is motionless, directionless, and it finds themselves in itself in utter darkness of impossibilities, suspicion, and material. The text is interpreted, reinterpreted to arrive the meaning. It demands further interpretations, no doubt, and that is the essence of the text. That is, truth is the essence of the text. Absolutism is the essence of the text. Trans-deconstruction is the perfect reading practice in a philosophical and literary sense. It is primarily derived from the incomplete work left out by previous theory. Dr. Pawar has conceptualized this term trans-deconstruction to distinguish the oppositions in the Western philosophy through minute observation of the language and logic of philosophical and literary texts. There are also few instances as regards the superhuman beings, as regards the relationship in between God, nature, and man or individuals. Dr. Pawar has very beautifully talked upon the relationship of religious differences. He also has given so many instances from various religions, and like that of Christianity, Hinduism, and other so many religions. There is also the inclusion of transcendentalism. Transcendentalism, actually said by Dr. Pawar, is a critical discourse on the existence of God, man, and nature. How these three things are related with each other, he has given the philosophical movement that firmly stands as a reaction to protest against the general states of intellectualism and spiritualism. Nature, of course, is worshipped for its benevolence and abundance. Of course, nature is a teacher, as said like that of William Wordsworth. It is either wrathful or generous to mankind. Dr. Pawar also has considered the absolutism of God and nature as regards with that of superconsciousness of poetry in the minds of the reader. For example, as he said, poetry is the superconsciousness of your mind, body, and soul, which awakens the ambience of ecstasy within and without. This is what he has related to the the theory of transcendentalism and theory of trans-deconstruction. Actually, transcendentalism is a philosophical movement that exhibits the true essence. The philosophical movement that exhibits the true essence of the reality, transcending or existing beyond the physical world. The text is full of absences rather than presences for a critic to interpret the content. The reading is a unique rational process to bring in the misread text, and it is also read in the context of the absolute meanings. This is also very important when we study transcendentalism. Dr. Pawar also has talked upon two types of words which are also called as Brahmandas. That is, these two types of words, they have their real roles in that is any critical text or the reading of a transcendentalist text. The individual carries the inner world within himself as he manifests the world. One is in you and one is surrounding you. These are the two types of words that he has talked about. The accumulation of knowledge is the prime concern of each individual. Knowledge is of two types: physical knowledge and spiritual knowledge. When somebody asks us about the knowledge that we do have, at that time knowledge is beyond human perception and understanding. Universal knowledge is beyond the reach of human beings, and physical knowledge is in the reach of human beings. Transcendentalism is known to the individual if the center is revealed within him, and the center can be revealed where it is located. It is said that in a holy person's body at the center there is a lotus, and lotus is in its invisible form. Same is the existence of God. God is truth, and truth, of course, the physical existence of truth is invisible. God is truth, truth is Shivam, and all these are invisible. But truth can be sensible, truth can be understood, perceived. It means the individual carries God within himself as truth is in him, as Shiva is in him, as the text diffuses the center within itself. Whenever an individual undergoes the state of samadhi through his superconsciousness, he goes beyond the human senses, and that sense of perception is in pursuit of spiritual union with the supreme power of God. That is the existence of God, that is the existence of omniscient, omnipresent, and omnipotent as the center in the text. It dwells everywhere. It is in the air, even it is in the universe. Those are the transcendentalists who accept the existence of God in every particle of the universe. The comprehensibility of God can be had through transcendentalism. The seed is the origin of life, inspired by divine soul. Divinity is the major realm of transcendentalists. This is what Dr. Pawar said in the second chapter, that is transcendentalism. Now, he also has talked about the term samadhi, mukti, redemption, and so on. All these things show us the actually many instances as regards transcendentalism, transcendentalists peeping into the text and holding the center as regards the perceived life. We also come to the point that Dr. Pawar has mentioned few Sanskrit lines, that is mama, my, vedana, that is pain, and plus addition tava vedana, that is your, is equal to samvedana. Means my pain plus your pain are equal to sensation, that is samvedana. Here my agonies plus your agonies are equal to sensations, and sensations can be defined as the sense in motion. If a child cries, it is felt by the mother. If the child cries, the mother feels the sensations of her child crying, where the distance never stands as an obstacle in sensations in the human body. Whether the mother is in London, whether the child is in India, mother definitely will feel the sensations of the child, suffering of the child. In the same way, samvedana also are very important. Actually, all these are felt by five senses, that is five organs of the body, that is eye, by which we can see, ear by which we can hear, nose by which we can smell, and tongue by which we can taste anything, skin, the touch that will give us the sensation. All these things definitely accumulate knowledge of the physical world, and it is surrounding us. However, the spiritual world and the physical world, they stand poles apart in the interpretation of the text. It is very crucial to know that no individual is born good or bad. It is the nature which makes it so. Text like feel, text like life needs to be interpreted and thoroughly studied. The meaninglessness, absurdity of life is the prior stage to absolutism. Life leads us to notionless about the interpretation of the text. Transcendentalists signify some betrayals that the center in the text in contrast to life. Text is a tapestry of the complex meanings, full of pluralities and inconsistencies. Here, Dr. Pawar also has talked upon three things: individuals of the types of individuals, that is individuals of the body, individuals of the mind, and individuals of the soul. He has also talked upon karma, and secondly, life is tabula rasa, meaning that life is a blank slate, tabula rasa, and you decide what shape you wish to give it. Whatever the shape you give it to it, its formation becomes like that. It's a high time to practice sanskaras in life. In Christianity, there is a story that you might have studied before. A poor labor used to work at the construction site. All of a sudden, he came across the biggest stone at the construction site. I liked this instance given by Dr. Pawar very much. He became extremely, the laborer became extremely ecstatic and hurriedly rushed to his master with the hope that he would be rewarded with money for the search. However, his master scolded him and saying that he was wasting his precious time, as the stone is of no use to anybody. The stone is shapeless, robust. As a result, he did not feel disappointed and depressed at that time. He came back to the site and put the sanskaras on the shapeless stone, which means he simply shaped the stone and he put sanskaras on it by eradicating the unwanted portion of the stone and shaping the stone appropriately. Through his creative art and intelligence, he carved the great artistic portrait in the sculpture about merrymaking, sculpture about Mary milking Lord Jesus Christ. To the surprise of all, the name of the artist is Michelangelo, an Italian sculptor, painter, architect and poet. It was the creation of Michelangelo, and it definitely therefore one can also create many things by putting sanskaras on the objects and shaping objects to the way you like. Even the writer, even the author is also Michelangelo, and he is the sculptor, painter, architect who makes sanskaras to the text, and at that time that intelligence or beautiful creation is achieved by the readers and the critics. As Dr. Pawar has given us Dr. Pawar is a Michelangelo of this trans-deconstruction theory on monism. That is his creation, and he is the real sculptor of it. That is the enlightenment to better knowledge through spiritual consciousness. Transcendentalists also think that life is good. Whatever you have suffered is for a good cause. Whatever you have done is also good. Whatever you have done wrong or good things in your past life are also good, and everything is pre-planned by the Supreme Power. This is what even the Bhagavad Gita also says. Karmanneva adhikaraste ma phaleshu kadachana ma karma phula bhutonvi. Here the Bhagavad Gita manifests all the notions of transcendentalism, focusing on the nature and the soul. Talk about semi-religious feelings towards nature is quite Confucius. They are not talking completely about, transcendentalists are not talking completely about Hinduism, Christianity or any other religion. Every individual has the natural inclination of his views about God, which are revealed in the tune of his religious doctrines in a sentimental, rational and spiritual manner. Now I come to Dr. Pawar also has talked about God, truth, Atma, and that is soul, and all how they are interrelated, how Srishti is made, and how the two types of nature, that is nature and Srishti, that is another nature, are made. This is also he has talked upon. He has also focused upon the gurus, Lord Mahesha and others to reveal his doctrines or reveal his dictums. I come to the third chapter that is very important for us, and it gives us more analysis of the trans-deconstructive theory and trans-deconstructive theories stance as regards the world and the world as the key factors in the interpretation of the literary text. Here I will come to the point, and this point of deeper level of the reconstruction and reinterpretation of the text. As we know, science and literature are the spaces of philosophy, or vice versa. All the absences in the text, they are often attractive to us, or we attract them. Hence, we had better understanding what something is not rather than what it is. In fact, it is easy to define trans deconstruction here. It is not a method. Trans deconstruction is it is a critique. It is an analysis or a dismantling of the structure of a text. It is simply trans deconstructing itself, the text itself. Every text has a center with absolute meaning. Of course, this is the doctrine of trans deconstruction, and the externalization of the internals and internalizations of the externals uniform the text in all its diversity. This singularity, of course, despite all the diverse meanings, is a central feature of trans deconstruction. The final meaning is still absolute and often transcendental. Each signifier takes us to the ultimate signified in the textual superconsciousness. Trans deconstruction is a critical analytical method to search for a single transcendental signified within the text. The theory is applied to the literary text for the finalization of meaning based on textual superconsciousness in the form of conclusions. There is no demarcation to the application of the theory to literary texts, as it has already crossed all the limits of textual interpretations. To sum up, the post-structural and postmodern thinking relentlessly interrogating the established intellectual categories and skepticism about the possibilities of the unique center in all the discourses. Trans deconstruction, it briefly studies a conspicuous free play of words in the text leading to monism. Monism means a single entity that is searched from all the complexities. The theory is based on the optimistic relativism. It is particularized for all the generalization of meanings prevalent into the text. Trans deconstruction thus retains its intellectual cum spiritual superconsciousness, which is transparent to the readers by relocating the center in the text fixed, and it is also functional. In the theory of trans deconstruction, the absolute meaning is still centered and unmoved with the innermost consciousness of the self, the textual superconsciousness. This is also very important as regards. All the signifiers ultimately lead us to the only one signified, that is absolute, and which is the truth in the text. This is what it is, the only truth in the text. All contradictory meanings take us to the more interpretations. Every human discourse takes us away from the absolute. That is why we often argue, discuss, and reinterpret the things. Again, there is the detailed discussion as regards the bhavas and cow upangas, 6 upangas, which Dr. Pawar has mentioned in his book at the end of the book. Again, all the interpretations, discourses, and negotiations ultimately march towards the stable, singular, central, transcendental signified in the text. Trans deconstruction emerges into the arena of literary theories when the author is declared as dead in the interpretation of the text. There is the plurality. Trans deconstruction emerges into the arena of literary theories when the author is declared as dead in the interpretation of the text. There is, of course, the plurality, which is considered to be the end of every textual analysis. There is the absence of the center in the text, and the center in the text is variable, but it is also functional. The idea of nothingness, it is prevailed outside the text. There is a debate on the one term supremacy of binary oppositions held in the text. Trans deconstruction theory also asserts that the author is alive, he is forever in his points of view in the interpretation of the text. Monism, also called as singularity, absolutism, truth, or it is the transcendental signified which is mentioned in the text. All these are presented as an output in the form of ultimate conclusion for every textual analysis. There is the presence of the center in the text, which is fixed, and it is functional like that of a pendulum. Dr. Pawar also has mention of 2 Brahmandas. there are two centers like that of two Brahmandas. One is within and another is without. The absolute truth prevails outside the text. This is also very important. One weaker term in binary opposition is prevailed in the text to bring it to the equality and prediquity as a key factor for textual analysis. The focus of reading of the reader is on the textual superconsciousness for the finalization of the terms, finalization of the meanings. The trans-deconstruction theory, it studies the text from two different perspectives, that is the word without or the world outside. The world and the world within and the world outside sometimes seem as the same. The truth outside the text is the same, embedded with the text. As these are the two Brahmandas in the universe, within and without, the text also has two centers. One is within and another is without. This theory asserts the fact that the center in the text is fixed and functional, and in addition there is another world outside of the text. Therefore, the interpretation demands further interpretations revealing the center within the text. And no author is dead in the interpretation of the text. He is still alive in his absurd points of view in the text. No text should be studied or analyzed in isolation, because every text demands the non-textual references outside the text. Hence, the application of trans-deconstruction theory to the literary text is of high consideration. This is a critical application or reading practice to reach the singular, stable, transcendentally signified meaning in the text. The theory believes in the presence of the fixed center in the text like that of a pendulum, and it shows the absences that are like the ornaments in the interpretation of the text. The center in the text is within and without. It means the center in the text is fixed and functional. The theory practices the fact that there are two centers in the text. One is in the text and another is in the universe, like two Brahmandas, within and without. The trans-deconstruction theory believes in the textual superconsciousness, absolutism, monism, and truth. The trans-deconstruction theory also stresses on the finalization of all the plural meanings in the form of conclusion about the text. So friends, this is what I have talked about as regards the theory of trans-deconstruction, evolved, conceptualized and originated by Dr. Pramod Ambadasarao Pawar. Dr. Pawar has given me this opportunity to criticize or to take an overview of trans-deconstruction, that is the emergence of re-emergence of monism. And despite all the theoretical differences between structuralism and post-structuralism, Dr. Pawar has coined this novel term trans-deconstruction, which takes the attention of the reader for the emergence of monism, singularity, truth, absolutism. This is what we should understand. And the focus of the theory definitely is primarily on a meaning rather than meanings of all the discourses, and that is the singularity of the text amidst the labyrinth of multiplicity or plurality of meanings. Of course, I bestow my deep gratitude towards Dr. Pramod Ambadasarao Pawar, the Assistant Professor, Research Guide and the Head of the Department of English, Sant Dnyaneshwar Mahavidyalaya, Soigaon, District, Aurangabad, Maharashtra, for his contribution to the literary theory. Sir has given me an opportunity to speak upon his book, and of course I consider myself really grateful to Dr. Pawar for giving me an opportunity. Yesterday also we tried our best to give this epitome platform good food as regards Dr. Pawar's theory, but we couldn't be successful yesterday. But today again I tried my best, and by taking permission of Dr. Pawar. And friends, this is of course a glorious opportunity for me to speak upon trans-deconstruction. Of course, Dr. Pawar has contributed a lot to the region of critical theory, and we should definitely applaud this emerging critic in India, and he has contributed tremendously to the arena of literary criticism. Hence, with good wishes, may I take your leave. Thank you very much. Thanks a lot. Thanks again, Dr. Pawar sir.